things change. Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Monday, July 24th, 2023. We'll start the meeting at 6:02. Could I get a roll call, please, Beth?
Select Chair, Mr. Coy.
Here.
Select Vice Chair, Mr. DeRoche.
Here.
Selectman, Mr. Britton.
Hopefully he'll be here. We'll see.
Okay. Selectman, Mr. Gifford.
Present.
Selectman, Ms. Bergeron.
Excused.
And note for the record, we have Town Manager, Mr. Colby here.
And if we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm going to change the agenda up a little bit. We're going to do the Junior Firefighters Explorers first. So if you want to come on up, Derek. I know you got some good information. A lot of things have happened since the last time you were in front of us.
It's been great. Do you want to talk first, or?
I'm going to give you all the credit, so I could say that officially if you want. But our junior program just completed a on-campus week-long junior fire academy class at the New Hampshire State Fire Academy, which Lieutenant Travers is going to get into a little bit more detail. I'm really here to support what a great thing Lieutenant Travers has started here and to reassure our juniors how proud I am on how they performed. And I'm looking forward to this continued relationship in public safety and growing our department.
So first of all, I just want to, before I get into some of the pictures, I didn't do a PowerPoint tonight because I just didn't feel like there was a big need for a PowerPoint more than I have photos. And for the people in the town, I want to just say thank you to the people from the town first, because a lot of the funding from these kids got to go to the academy came from the Plaistow Community Cares program. I wanted people to understand where their money's going to. Dennis Leary said once that give a firefighter $5 and they'll make something out of it. So we're doing the same thing here with our program. And we're putting these kids went to the fire academy. They were covered for 80% of the cost. We put them on the hook for 20%. They had a memorable week. I watched these kids. It's kind of funny. I watched these kids go from young boys and girls to mature men and women. And I watched a lot of men and women find their inner child while we were up there for the week. It was a pretty intense week. It was filled from 5 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. These kids were there with no cell phones, no computers, no radios, no televisions, no electronic sources whatsoever. And the amount of camaraderie that came about between these 51 young men and women was absolutely amazing.
Survived without cell phones?
They did. And actually, not only did they survive without cell phones, they learned how to mop and clean. They did yoga. They ran in the morning. They did things that I didn't even know my son could do.
I didn't even know that was capable anymore.
Yep, it is. Anyways, what you're seeing right here is a picture of the ARF pit. The ARF pit is their crash fire rescue. That was one of the last things that the kids got to witness during the week. So not only did they get involved in firefighting, but they had a lot of different things that they were exposed to. And this was one of the things that they got exposed to was the ARF pit. This was like their very last picture together that they took. The ARF pit is crash fire rescue. So if a plane was to catch fire, like at Manchester Airport, the Fire Academy has a crash fire rescue course that you can take if you're interested in crash fire rescue. So all these kids have kind of come together and have started a group chat that they all chat in now. And their group chat is ARF Lovers Unite, because this is probably one of the best things that they saw during the academy, or their favorite thing that they saw at the academy. So our 5 kids went there. They were split into 3 different groups. There was first years, second years, and third years. The first years were more intro to things. The second years got a little bit more of an exposure to things. And then the third years were really hit hard with a lot of stuff. So pre-COVID, they had run this program every year. And then when COVID hit, they stopped. They weren't sure if they were going to put the program back into place. And then a bunch of people got back together and decided that they wanted to put the program back together, and it came back together. The biggest thing with this was that they couldn't place the kids. So like your third yearers was really first yearers, but they were the older kids. So like our Clifton and Chris, they were the older kids. They were in the third years, and then the other three were in the first years. I didn't have any second years. But all these kids did some semblance of firefighting and EMS every single day. The third years were doing fire level 2 stuff, and they were killing it. They were doing search and rescue. They were doing RIT company operations. They were doing truck company operations. They were flowing water. They were moving hose. And a lot of this stuff you'll see here is pretty amazing stuff that the academy instructors did the week that they were there. I will tell you that everybody that was there for the week from the academy all donated their time. Nobody got paid. Everybody was there working for the benefit of the kids, and ultimately, the kids had an absolute blast. So, just to give you an example of some of the stuff that they did, this is one of the combined operations that they did in the A building at the academy. And you'll see junior firefighter Nadeau right there. We've now nicknamed him Private Salt because he got very salty during the week he was there. And he was doing RIT operations as well as some search and rescue in this evolution. And this is so this building here at the academy is known as their A building. Typically they would have live fire in here, but they didn't have the fire obviously here for the kids' sake because they had safety concerns and stuff. But here they're taking a party down the stairs, an injured firefighter down the stairs. Another kid's getting some moving hose. So all these kids were from 5 different states. They were from New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Vermont, I believe Maryland, and one of Maine were the 5 states that were represented. And they got a lot of exposure to the fire and EMS world. And the instructors that taught them like they would be teaching somebody who went right through fire school. So this here is each of the kids one night did we call this the dollhouse. And what the dollhouse is an evolution that they learn of fire flow and how fire travels. We actually are planning on doing this with our kids at some point in time. We're going to have one of these built, but as you can see, every time they open a door, close a door, they could teach the kids how fire flows in a building. So all the kids got an opportunity to do the fire flow dollhouse, and they got to learn about flow paths and ventilation in a burning building, and how things we do on the fire ground affect what we accomplish. As you can see, every day they got together for lunch. They were all together. They would come in and they would have chief meetings every day. We had visits from the state police bomb squad that brought their bomb sniffing dogs in. This is junior firefighter Travers, who was doing some search and rescue. They were learning forcible entry, and they had probably one of the best forcible entry instructors in the state, Bob Welch, teaching them. And if anybody knows Bob Welch, he's a character. I saw a lot of these kids overcome a lot of fears of heights, fears of ladders and things like that. What they did during this week was absolutely incredible, and what the instructors did for the week that they were there was amazing. These kids just absolutely had an absolute amazing time. They did get to go up. The younger group did go up to the New Hampshire 911 center, so they got to see how calls come into 911. And then they went next door and saw the Lakes Region Mutual Aid District. And those calls that came into Lakes Region came into the 911 center. They got transferred. They got to see how apparatus and fire departments and EMS were dispatched. So they got an exposure to an awful lot of stuff during the week. They did great. I was very proud of all the kids. You would have thought that some of these kids knew what they were doing all along, and the program has flourished since this academy, because now we're growing. We've just had about 3 or 4 kids sign up. They've watched the stuff that we've been posting, and kids are jumping on board as we speak. So I'm very proud of the kids and what they did for the week. They worked hard. They had fun. And I want to thank the townspeople for their generous donations for getting these kids off to this academy. It was very helpful, and it took the cost off of them, going up there for the week. But again, the biggest thing is that the dollars that are donated are going to something good, and I can't be more appreciative. While I'm on that, I do want to thank a few groups. You could turn the lights back on. I think we're good there. First of all, I want to thank Dean Zanello. Dean kind of coming in the clutch for us at the last second. I had reached out to him. He came in and videotaped the graduation ceremony. So you should see that on the town cable. It's also linked to the Plastow Junior Firefighters Facebook site. So all these kids had a tremendous graduation. We sent up our tower ladder. We did a little ladder to ladder flag drop with a ladder company from Hopkinton, New Hampshire, which we'd probably never do again in our career here as Plastow firefighters. So I thought that was pretty cool. The kids got to march in with bagpipes. They had a great ceremony, and one of our own became the Junior Explorer of the Year. Our Chris Nadeau was the Junior Explorer of the Year. So a little round of applause for Chris. I will also say that this program couldn't be possible without some of our surrounding cities and towns. We've gotten donations from the Atkinson Fire Department of gear, hoods, helmets. We've gotten donations from the Sandown Fire Department of gear. I just got approached by Chief Fisher in Merrimack, who's offering to donate some gear and some helmets and stuff for the kids. Danville donated a bunch of stuff to us as well. So people are seeing the program. People are acknowledging that this is something that's working. People are seeing that there's a need for a program like this, because I can remember in days in my 20s when I would try to get a job in a fire department and there would be 100 people for one position. Now we don't have enough bodies to fill seats. So from what I've seen from a lot of the firefighters who are out there who were texting me about this program throughout the week, there's like, oh boy, there's hope for us. There's actually kids out there that want to get involved in the emergency services in the fire department. So the towns that have supported this, I'm very grateful. The people in the town, I'm very grateful for their support as well. And we're moving forward and onward. You'll see on our Facebook page yesterday, as a matter of fact, we just did a combined operations with an engine and a tower ladder. With our tower ladder, all the kids got to flow water off the top of the tower, and they established a water supply to engine 1. They fed engine 3. They all got to pull hose. They all got to flow water. So they're having fun. They're learning. They're growing. And I will say. Junior firefighter Nadeau is going to be one of our first to transition from the juniors to the department. He's a graduate of Whittier Tech. He joined our Explorer post about 4 or 5 months ago, and he is soon to be transitioning to the fire department here in Plastow. So
Great.
We're very proud of Chris, and we're very proud of all the kids that are currently involved in the program as well. You got anything?
Good.
Well, this isn't a new program. This program actually started in 1993. It actually really took off in 1993. It started well before that, but we've had a wide range of people come through the group. We just have recently, with some of the very first groups, we used to be the Explorers. We have chiefs. We have arson investigators. We have deputy chiefs for big cities that have all started here in Plastow. We just recently got it going back up again, but after like a 5-year hiatus. But this is not a new program to this town, but we're excited to get it back and moving full forward.
No, it's great. It seems like it's all going in the right direction. And Derek, you were the advisor of the week?
I was actually. I was a week, year, whatever they want to call me, but it was kind of a surprise because I showed a lot of emotion in the kids. I was very proud of not just my group, but the other groups. And I just want to just talk about that for a second. Is that there was a command structure for that whole thing. Like I went up there as one of the captains, and I had so each kid belonged to a platoon, and each platoon had a lieutenant that was one of their own. Those lieutenants had to interview for those spots. And then I was their advisor. I was their captain or that lieutenant's advisor. So if the kid had a problem, they were supposed to go to the lieutenant. If the lieutenant couldn't handle the problem, then they came to me. And then if I couldn't handle the problem, well, there was a big problem. But it never got to that point realistically the whole week. I mean, like I said, I saw a bunch of kids really grow up that week. And I couldn't be more proud of this group. I couldn't be more proud of the people involved in it. I couldn't be more proud of the people here in the town and our surrounding communities that have helped out this program immensely over the course of the last, 7 months into this?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a credit to the kids, but it's a credit to you guys as well.
thank you.
I mean, without you guys, this wouldn't be happening, right? I mean, you guys volunteer all your time.
Yep.
Thank you for that and for everything the kids did. It's unbelievable. You guys have anything you want to?
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. We're trying to sign Jay up. We want Jay to be one of our
Jay's
senior junior firefighters.
Jay's not as light on his feet as he used to be.
I am. I'm trying to do that. Trying to.
So is this pool limited to Plaistow, or is this?
So my goal is to open it up to 25% of. My goal is to get it at no higher than 16, and 25% can be from out of town. I really would like to see more Timberlane students, but it's hard for me to turn a kid away. If a kid wants to come and join, I mean, it's hard for me to turn a kid away. But right now we're meeting that standard. We have 2 kids from Haverhill, 2 kids from Salem, and the rest are all from Timberlane. And my plan is this year to work with the school district again and try to recruit some more. I recruited, Cliff and Mason and, obviously Camden and Sarah. We have a couple more from Timberlane that aren't here tonight. But the 5 kids that went to the academy are here, and they're mostly representing Timberlane as well. So we're trying to keep it more towards the Timberlane district, but if a kid wants to be a firefighter, who am I to stop them?
No, you should never turn a kid away, right?
Absolutely.
I always believed in that.
There is a waiting list too, because we have children that are very interested, but they're just not at the age yet to
Right.
join.
Yeah.
We probably have 5 more in the pipeline that are just dying to get to age.
It's unbelievable because I didn't even know this was a program until all of a sudden this year, and it seems like it's taking off, which is great.
And it's changed a bit because it used to be an Explorer post through the BSA, but we've turned away from the BSA. So basically, when these kids went up to the academy, this is a BSA program. However, so they were all kind of brought into the BSA for the week, and they were actually considered post 603 for that week while they were up at the academy. Yeah, I mean, it's things are moving in the right direction. They're having fun. We're outside right now because the weather's good. When the weather starts turning, we'll do a lot more inside work. We can do other things in the bays and stuff like that. But week to week, we always get something going on. As a matter of fact, Dan Garlington just gave us the old office up at the old town garage, the old box up there.
Yeah.
And I said to him, can we go up there and train? He says, I don't care what you do with it. He says, it's being burned down in, a month or 2. He says, so you want to take it? He says, go ahead, go have it. So I'm going to take the kids up there for the next 3 weeks. And they're going to do all their evolutions up there. We'll do search and rescue up there. We'll mask out their masks and make them find a dummy and pull them out and, things like that. So we're actually getting some real live
Good.
firefighting experience. So
Good.
I think we've got them roped in. I think we got a good group that we've kind of stuck the plunger on them and
Good.
reeling them in.
It seems that way.
Yeah, it's a good
Everyone's
group.
Jay, anything, or?
No, I'm good. Just waiting I'm on the waiting list, so
Well,
I mean,
until I get of age.
September 1st, you can come ride with us when camping's over. I told you.
But what I'd like to do is have the kids come up so we can recognize them,
That'd be great.
and we'll have a little citation. If we can start, I got Mason Zabolis. Congratulations. Clifton Bingham.
You want to do a group picture with them all?
Yeah.
Just hang out right up this way.
Congratulations. Thank you. Sarah Boucher. Congratulations. Thank you.
Sarah.
Camden Travers. Congratulations. Thank you. And Chris Nadeau. Both ways. Congratulations. Great job. He's tall.
Do you want to get another group picture with the rest of you too as well?
I'm lost in the shuffle.
Pop up in the
I
chair.
don't quite see everyone in the back there. It's gonna get this out of the way here. Just bear with me.
I'm good. I don't need to be seen.
Okay,
How about the kids?
Dara, a little bit to your left. There you go. Jay, a little bit to your right. I think that's everybody. Do a few shots. There we go. Awesome.
Great job, guys.
Need a better step stool.
And again, just want to thank you guys for this today and thank the community once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Couldn't be done without you.
Thank you. Make sure I clean up the mess there.
You gotta go back,
All right.
going back to public comment.
Yep. Was there anyone here for public comment? All right. So next up was, on the agenda was adding 2 telephone poles to Greenfield Drive discussion. Was there anyone here from the builder? Yep, come on up. Yes. Yeah, if you just speak into the microphone would be great. And if you just state your name for Beth would be great.
Danielle Pondelli, Homestead Construction.
And just kind of let us know what,
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys had a chance to review what I had emailed over. Unitil, we're building a new house at 2 Greenfield Drive, and Unitil, the transformers have a lead time of 2 years. And I asked if there was anything else we could do to get electricity to our house so we don't have to shut the site down and wait 2 years for it. Now, they suggested, this is Unitil, suggested 2 poles coming from the corner of Sweet Hill, where Sweet Hill and Greenfield. So there's a pole right at the corner of Sweet Hill Road, and they suggested we do 2 poles in the right-of-way, right to our lot. And then from that second pole, we'd go to a meter pedestal, we'd go underground to a meter pedestal right on our lot. So the meter pedestal will belong to the customer.
so looks like the last pole stops probably about halfway on the property of 2 Greenfield, somewhere around there,
Yes.
roughly, just looking at the drawing.
Yep. And then would go underground from that pole to a meter pedestal to power the house.
And how tall are the poles?
75 feet.
75 to what did it, 2
40 foot.
40
foot poles would be installed approximately.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
40 foot above?
40.
And
Yeah.
then something below? Is that what it was?
175 pole to pole on the left-hand side of Greenfield. Primary overhead wire. Yeah.
So looking at the drawing here, it looks like 72 Sweet Hill has a line coming from the pole into that property. And
Yes.
then you're looking to put two poles down Greenfield Drive to the middle of 2 Greenfield. Now, is that whole neighborhood underground?
It is. That neighborhood is underground electric.
Yeah.
And that's why Unitil was like, well, we could do the 2 poles from that Sweet Hill pole, but you need the town's permission to do that.
Would it be something temporary until the new stuff comes in and then you could put it underground?
We weren't thinking temporary. It wasn't. What he suggested wasn't temporary. It was meant to be permanent. Yeah.
So you got the existing pole on the corner of Sweet Hill.
Yep.
The first pole looks like it would be, so you don't have measurements here, but like 3/4 of the way down.
He's showing 175.
So 175 feet between each pole.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the first pole looks like it would line up about 3/4 of the way down from the street, right, to where the property line for 2 Greenfield is.
Correct.
Somewhere around,
Yes.
right?
Correct. Yep.
And then the last pole would be almost right in the middle of where 2 Greenfield is, and then it goes underground to the residence.
Yep. So the meter pedestal would be actually on the residence.
Is any of this on anybody else's property?
Well, no, because he's saying that it goes in the right of way, which is from the second pole. You would go underground to a meter pedestal on the customer lot. Poles will be set back from side of road approximately 15 to 20 feet near the drainage swale running along Greenfield.
It's a pretty big hill right there too, if I remember right.
Good sledding back in the day.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
I guess my question is this something that needs to come before the board, or is this like a planning or a building department issue?
The
believe
board
it's
is
us.
the one who authorizes the polls.
Okay. But how does this conflict with the neighborhood being, when it was first built, the plan to put all the electricity underground? Does it conflict with that?
That I can't answer. Would have to reach out to legal or.
Well, I think that this lot was never really considered
Right.
when it was first built.
Yeah,
And I don't think this lot's part of like the homeowners association
Right.
there, right?
Right, this was all outside of that.
right.
Oh, it was, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything still in the HOA would be underground. Now, is 4 Greenfield, is that part of?
No,
The
that's
HOA?
who subdivided this. For Greenfield subdivided his lot and made 2 Greenfield, and we bought it off of him. And then realized that we couldn't use, he's got a transformer right on the side of his driveway for Greenfield, but that transformer is maxed out.
So
It's got too many homes on it. So Unitil, Jamie from Unitil was like, yeah, you can't use that one. And that's where he came up with this, you know.
Here's a question, how long do transformers usually last?
What's that?
Yeah, any idea how long a transformer usually lasts?
They can last 60, 70 years.
I'm just curious, because it's like all of a sudden, if it was less than that, you'd be like, okay, once you get a bigger one, you're underground to it.
Yeah, there is just no transformers to be had, that's the problem.
Yeah, because I was like, well, could we just get a smaller transformer to power this house? And he was like, no transformers to be had.
There's just none around.
Yeah.
And obviously the pole's gonna have a transformer.
I know, he
right?
said they do have pole transformers. I
It's a
don't know.
different transformer that they have.
Oh, I'm sure if one's available, one isn't.
Yeah.
All right.
The only, personally, I have no problem with this at all. My only concern is, and I want to find out if the guide wires are going to go onto somebody's property.
Oh, I
then
see what you're saying.
They should know that, okay, because that's something that wasn't on their property before.
Right. Yep.
Any other questions? If someone wants to come up and say something.
Yes.
Because obviously it affects you.
Oh, it sure does, because I live
So-
directly,
Come.
Can you hear me?
Yep, just
Oh,
the
yeah,
mic, just
I'll-
swing the mic over. And if you just say your name and your address.
Certainly.
please.
My name is Ann Carvalho. I live at 76 Sweet Hill Road in Plaistow. So I live directly behind this new home that's being built currently. My home, although my address is 76, I sit directly in front of Greenfield. My
Okay.
property line goes from where I live all the way past the street towards the corner of a parcel that's across the street from Greenfield. That's all of my land. I understand their predicament, but the last thing we need on that street is poles, 2 poles, any poles. I don't understand how the electric company can't have underground. I'm sure it's something that can happen. I just don't understand. But I don't want any poles on my property whatsoever. And I certainly don't want any lines going across my property. It's bad enough that we have this monstrosity of a house because for whatever reason, the new neighbors decided to take a certain parcel of lot and put it directly, in front of my home. We've dealt with that. The home is pretty, it's very nice. But as far as adding poles going down Greenfield where there's underground service, that's just unheard of. I do have my plot, if you'd like to see it.
Sure.
Okay.
I think the problem is they can't add that house to the other transformer, from what I understand.
There it is. So this is my property, and it goes right across Greenfield.
I know where you are. I live on Partridge, so I go by there.
We would love to walk around. Trust me, we would love to walk around.
So that's my concerns. And I don't know if anybody else had.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Maybe a solution to this is, and I don't know if it's a solution, but off the power grid pole that is bringing the power to you, maybe they could go underground to your property and then put a pole up for the service, which would be the transformers hanging. That way, those transformers would be hanging on a pole
you're
on your property.
So you're saying is go underground from Sweet Hill
Right.
until that pole is in the middle of that property, and then you put.
Or
then-
somewhere
and
on
then
that
go up
property,
pole.
and then have the cans.
So
up
you're
in the air
underground the whole way till you get to
To the property.
Greenfield.
So that second pole, you're saying.
Correct, and then you come up that pole.
Right, the pole then would be just solely on your property.
Good evening. My name's Tom Alberti. I live at 2 Ridgewood Road, which is part of the Greenfield Hill Estates community, which is where this house is. So I'm here representing the Homeowners Association this evening. There's 40 homes in the Homeowners Association. However, there's 42 lots that are part of this PRD, and this includes Lot 2 and 4, which is where this home is. So this is part of this subdivision plan. So the HOA has contributions. Now, they are not part of the HOA. That was an agreement that was done after the site plan was approved and the community was being built. That one house said, yeah, we're going to do our own thing. We said, that's fine. And really, the contributions go towards 2 things primarily, which is the community's common well and also the beautification and maintenance of landscaping. The community does pride itself on beautification. We have our own aesthetically pleasing lampposts that we maintain, we pay for, and we replace our bulbs, we hang wreaths on those bulbs, and we also contribute towards landscaping and flowers and whatnot. And I get that. I say that that's, you know, a lot of people will say, hey, I don't want to see disruption to my community because I don't like the look of it, right? I point this out because there's 40 homes at well above the median price range in the community, contributing some high value homes, including taxes to the community. So we look at the beautification not just as part of what we like to see, but as part of what keeps the home values high in this community. So within that, I just want to point out that the site plan that was approved for this community specifies underground utilities. That also includes the plan for this house, but also for the PRD itself. PRD regulations within town specify that utilities need to be underground. It also says a condition of occupancy permit is to meet the site plan as written and signed off on. And again, the regulations specify underground utilities. I want to be very neighborly. This is not about saying you can't do this, you know, and I feel for the developer. However, the site plan for this lot was crafted well over a year and a half ago, maybe closer to 2 years. We understand that COVID has created some issues, but it's at this point in time, you know, we're beyond the idea that, hey, supply chain disruptions are a problem for everybody. It's kind of understood, right? It's part of the due diligence process. So, you know, we would hope that anybody who's developing is going to understand any of the limitations or issues that they may face as they build. And this is one of them. It seems to be that everybody understands that this is a supply chain issue. So, however, as mentioned, once again, I want to cite that subdivision regulations, site plan, all specify underground utilities. I would implore that the developer try to work with Unitil to see if they can prioritize the transformer so that they can tap into the underground utilities as is, or as Darrell mentioned, take the utilities from the if they're going to come in from Sweet Hill versus the lines that are already coming into the community, come in underground the whole way to the home, right? Because they're already there. There's already a plan for where the underground utilities are. If you can't get a new transformer today, then come in underground from the Sweet Hill lines that are up as mentioned at that one pole. So I just want to bring that up again. I think that there are some factors with regard to zoning that factor into whether or not these poles would even be able to go in. Again, because I cite the site plan, subdivision regulations, and the site plans as recorded. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, the site plan, I think, should be in your folders. We could have those pulled.
So this property is part of the HOA?
No.
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's not part of the HOA, but what's important is it's part of the PRD.
it's part of the PRD.
The HOA and the PRD are two separate entities.
Yep.
The HOA is simply
Right.
the organization.
The organization.
If you look at the site plan, when they made that curb cut in from Sweet Hill, you look at the PRD itself, it was listed as 42 lots. There's 43 lots, because one's undeveloped. And there's two others, these two lots, one with the home up on the hill, and then this is the home. All part of that site plan.
So even if we approve this tonight and they put in 2 poles with transformers, wouldn't it not get an occupancy permit because it doesn't go with what's required in the PRD? Because you'd have poles, you wouldn't have electrical underground.
That I don't know.
So
I don't know if that'd work
I don't know.
with a public utility. You know, I still think that the way to approach this is to get the pole on have them run it. You have the opportunity to run this all the way to your house and have a can up in the air. Transformer comes, change out the cans to a ground-based transformer. And now it seems the wiring is going to be the same, okay? The plastic underground is virtually going to be offset by the cost of the poles. So, I mean, it's not a huge difference in expense to keep it a clean site.
Now, so from the Sweet Hill pole, you're saying go underground in there,
Right.
right to our lot,
Mhm.
no pole.
No
Right.
pole.
And then where would the,
Once it's on your lot, I would think that you'd want the pole as far back as possible near your home, just for convenience sake.
no, but you just said no pole, right? Like no pole
No.
at all?
No, you'd have a pole on your lot with your cans.
Right, all the lines would
Yeah.
run underground
Okay.
until it gets to the pole and then come up to the
So
transformer.
can I add something? I'm sorry.
Sure.
So if that's the case, then the pole will be directly in front of my house also. Because if there's a pole directly to, right
Well, it
behind,
depends where they put the pole.
right in front of my house?
Well, it depends where they put the pole. I don't know where that pole would be,
Okay.
so I can't comment on that.
Well, no, if we run, you're saying if we run underground from the Sweet Hill pole all the way to that, where they're
That second,
showing that second pole.
right, which is right in the middle of 2 Greenfield.
Right. So it's not, because the first pole was on the.
So what we're saying is you take run the wire from Sweet Hill, and it doesn't come to the pole until you're like halfway in front of 2 Greenfield.
So when you say Sweet Hill, you mean right on the main street?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Because on my property, there's also a pole up on top of my driveway, not that pole.
No, not that
No,
one.
we're talking from the street.
So the one pole will be in the middle of your house?
Yeah, 2 Greenfield.
Right.
Right in front of.
Yeah, on that
Well,
property.
it could be
It could
wherever.
be a little bit, a few feet one way or the
Yeah.
other, but it would be on their property.
And keep in mind, that doesn't have to be permanent either. Once you get
And then if the other
A regular
transformer
ground
comes
box
in, right,
transformer.
or you get,
ground box.
yeah, you get a ground box, then you can get rid of the pole and just keep everything underground from there. Go ahead, Tom.
I do want to point out, and again, I do want to point to the site plan in this PRD. I mean, anybody could say, "Hey, I had trouble getting this, and I did it this way," and what differentiates how someone can do something other than what's currently on an approved site plan, right? From something else, right? Oh, I put my well over here because there were some challenges getting through there. Well, no, the site plan says it needs to be here, right? That's what we signed off on. It's what we agreed upon. I don't want to diminish the importance of that, right? And I guess there maybe is even a question of jurisdiction in this matter. That being said, I think that our community, at least representing the homeowners association, would be amenable to some sort of temporary resolution, right? If the Unitil commits to a time frame and says we will upgrade, because I don't think anybody wants to see any poles long term in this community, including the developer / homeowner, right? Because again, it goes towards the character of the neighborhood. There's some safety factors involved, other things like that. Plus, underground utilities historically have much better performance within weather conditions. And
For sure,
whatnot.
you don't have to worry about a line snapping and coming
Yeah.
down on your property.
So there's some factors in that. Now, so if that means there's some sort of temporary resolution until the transformer can be upgraded, I think that the homeowners association would be amenable to that. And I can't speak for the direct residents, but
I would concur. I think for sure, if it was something temporary, definitely we would agree upon it. But again, temporary. You have to understand, this is a hill. And it can be dangerous. I mean, the winters, as you all know.
I plowed your driveway.
Yeah. What are you doing? So I mean, it's hard. It's hard up there. It's windy and it's So again, that pole, although it's there, it's going to move. In the awful weather that we get.
Is it something you could go back to the utility and see if there's some type of temporary solution that could be put in and then come back to us?
Yeah, I could ask Jamie if there's some kind of temporary.
Or other options potentially.
Yeah. Well, this is the option he came up with that seemed like it would be the best option, but, I can ask him, yeah, if there's a temporary.
Ask him about just running it underground and then, once, set it up because it won't cost any more for the temporary pole out in your property until the transformer comes in. And then they're probably going to hit you for $400 or $500 to do the changeover.
Right.
So,
But even if it was the two poles that were temporary, I don't know if everyone's amenable to that, but if they were to say, like, gentleman said that, there's a time frame, they would get it in, they'd come back and switch it out, so.
well, they're going to have to go underground at some point anyway.
Yeah, so you might as well do it now.
Do it all now,
But if they're not gonna go with that option, the other option might be the way to go, I don't know.
Yeah,
And if
the
it helps,
homeowner-
if it helps the homeowner, the homeowners association would be willing to write a letter, essentially in favor, sort of helping. Hey, we support the home. We're neighborly, understanding that these are some of the site plan regulations, subdivision regulations within the town, and so on. But we support and would support a temporary solution, given that a underground line was established as specified and within a certain time frame. I think we would support sending in a letter if you wanted to provide that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are extenuating circumstances, right? Like 24-month lead time, so you just got to work with it, but it's going to be short term, I guess. And hopefully, you'll go back to them, bounce it off, and see what they say.
Yeah, I'll talk to Jamie and see what he says about that. Temporary until we get the hands on.
Yeah. Because I think whoever buys that house too, they'd much prefer not to have a pole there too, I would think, right?
Sure,
That's
yeah.
going to probably help the property value of that home.
Yeah, I know, the only reason we did this was because
Yeah.
of the lead time, we needed a lot.
Yeah.
It is surprising, right, that, this plan that goes back to the 90s specifies 43 lots. And again, it was one up on the top of the hill, which is 4, this lot at number 2. And plus, one of the homeowners bought an abutting lot just to sort of have the extra land. But he could choose to develop that. He's got that right.
Yeah.
So we're basically saying that we're good to go at 40 homes, but not 41,
Yeah.
which is, well, who does that? Who puts in services that meet?
I know in my business, you always put growth in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when you say 2 Greenfield Drive is on that plan,
Yes.
yet there was no.
Well,
there's no figuring out what was going on at that point,
I'm sure the person who did it from 90s long retired at this point.
yeah. So, but again, so that's the thing. If that other person wanted to develop that lot further down, it's going to require the upgraded equipment regardless, because we're not going to put down poles, to get halfway down the community.
Right.
So,
Now that we know where we stand, is it we reconvene, reasonable amount of time and maybe I can start?
Well, I think it'll all depend on when you hear back from Unitil.
Yes.
And then obviously it would have to, then obviously you'd see it back on the agenda again.
The thing is, like, this catches us off guard. We just found out about this rumor. We weren't notified, which I don't know why that didn't happen. But anyway, everyone knows where everyone stands now, and we should maybe go from there.
Yeah, once we hear from Unitil, obviously we're going to have to meet again,
Yeah.
right? And then it'll be posted on an agenda, so.
and
I'd like to be notified. Okay, I mean, somehow the device.
Yeah,
It's not a,
It's like a big-
on this one here, they wouldn't be notified. I don't believe the abutters wouldn't get notified on this. It would be on the agenda.
you'll have to ask your HOA to notify whoever
Yeah.
is in a butter or something under that means, because it's not through the ZBA, it's not through
No.
the regular form, so we don't
I'm sure it probably
set up
won't,
to do notifications on these.
and I don't think it'll be that long. And I see Tom all the time anyways.
Yeah.
Could you notify the Greenfield Hill Association, somehow just drop them, they're involved.
I'm not saying that,
There's no official requirement, correct, through the Board of Selectmen. So,
correct. There's nothing official. We post the agenda. The agenda is always posted.
so, here I'm just speaking simply as a resident homeowner and a butter to this. I also do serve in an elected capacity on the town's planning board. There may be a consideration of jurisdiction in the matter too, and I just want to bring that up just so.
Yeah.
But again, I think if everything is amenable with the overall intent to meet the plans, and I think everybody here, including the homeowner, would like to see these underground, then I think I think everybody would be happy and fine and no issues.
But
But something to consider, big picture is, should something like this be a ZBA planning board, building permit matter? I don't know that, answer to that question today.
yeah, I don't, at this point.
It's
I
a
don't
truly
either.
unique situation.
Yeah, it is. All right, so if you just go to Unitil, yep, and, let us know what everyone says. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
Hey, Bill, I've got a question.
sure.
Pardon me? Oh,
Greg, is there anything we could ask the building inspector or the building department to just review and give us some type of recommendation or anything like that? Is there any?
I think this is more
That's
planning
really
board
beyond
than-
his purview.
I
Yeah,
think it's beyond, I mean, I'm confused in looking at some of this with what Mr. Alberti brings up. Because what's in the packet, it talks about these two lots are not to be considered a part of the development. But yet he's saying in the PRD that they are part of the development. So there's clearly conflicting information that I don't know that would be within the code enforcement or the building inspector's purview.
I think it's
This
probably
is-
planning.
Actually, this is more quasi judicial thing, and that hits ZBA.
Yeah.
Because you're bending rules here.
Well, this came before the
in
planning
the
board.
outline of
This
how.
whole thing.
Well, what came before the planning board was the property being built.
Yeah.
Not the utilities. This whole utilities thing. Everything was fine, it's just the utilities is all it is, right? That's the question.
I mean, my feeling is we wait and see if Unitil can come up with a solution that's amenable to everybody.
Right.
If not, then I probably would forward this off to the town attorney to spend an hour looking at and weighing in to see what the options are. Because it's conflicting. I mean, just with what I'm reading here, it's.
No, we need clarification.
I think if we can just get it underground, we'll be all set.
Oh, if they come back, say they'll run it underground, it's like, okay, problem solved.
Or at least on a temporary basis,
Yeah.
to put the poles in, as Mr. Alberti had said, that the HOA would probably be amenable to that if they know it's on a temporary basis.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Everyone good? All right, next up, adding 2 departments to the Plastow RMS system, Health and Emergency Management. Come on up, Patrick.
Good evening. I see my presentation did not draw as much of a crowd as the previous ones, which is okay.
You need to give out snacks.
Yeah, right? We'll,
No, we can't.
No.
oh, God, yeah. We'll get them from a
I brought
licensed-
brownies.
Only from an approved kitchen.
We'll get them from an approved kitchen. Good evening, everyone. First up here, or I hope only, maybe the only thing, we're looking at adding the health department and the emergency management department onto the town of Plastow's existing deal with Computer Square Inc., which is the platform that the police and fire department are using for CAD, computer-aided dispatch, records management, et cetera. We got a quote from them earlier this year, which still stands, still valid as of today. And what we're looking to do is through the ARPA money that the town still has, purchase this. It's a one-time purchase. This does not add anything to our existing contracts for maintenance, system maintenance with CSI, any different than what we already have. And essentially the ask is for the total of the quote, $12,250. with a 10% contingency of $1,225 for a total of $13,475. A one-time purchase to add both of these departments onto the records management
So
system.
there's no licenses that are needed?
Nothing. I spoke with them today, and this is just all it is
It's integration then?
integration. It's the system setup provisioning and integration to the current setup. And so this is all. There's no hardware. There's no software. This is programming work.
Okay.
Now you have, in the motion, it's reading 12,250, but you're saying it's 13,000?
So go ahead.
Beth wrote up the motion going off of the invoice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I apologize, Beth. I forgot to include. So we're just looking at the 10% contingency. I know we were just talking about, foresight in the previous item. Something goes over, over time on this, it's 70 hours is what it should take. If we go over a little bit on it, we just want to have the buffer to make it, obviously, if we don't need to expend that funding, be returned or not spent out of that.
And it seems like a good idea, right, to put it all there. And we can use the ARPA funds for this? No issues, right?
No issues.
What are you on now?
Huh?
What are you using now?
File cabinet?
Nothing. Excel spreadsheets, Word documents. That's it.
So how does converting these departments into the RMS system, what does it do to benefit the departments? So
Yeah,
can you talk a
absolutely.
little bit about that?
Sure. So there's a lot of functionality in this. It's RMS records management system that includes access and updating to the master contact list, and that benefits all departments. So when you have your master contact list that's set up through the town, it goes out through all the departments that are added. Things like emergency contacts, key holder information, stuff that may not be directly available to police or fire department would be viewable in the event of emergency by our dispatch center. They could get that information back. That's just one item right there. Right now, we're working off Excel spreadsheets. We're working off Word documents, and we are just using our regular town servers as the housing for all of this information. It also provides us with a backup offsite in a cloud-based secure location. And they have some pretty stringent security because they're dealing with protected information on multiple fronts. So again, it's secure, it's offsite. It gives us that second layer security. If something were to happen cybersecurity wise to the town, we would still have complete access to all of that information. Additionally, it provides for standardized forms, templated items, and allows for ease of access to allow integration with email to folks. Right now, everything that we do when we go out on inspections is carbon copy, and that's then scanned into the computer and brought over. We're trying to get out of the age of carbon copy at this point, and into something that's more reasonable. So we have been collecting email addresses and everything as we go on for all the health licenses that we issue, so that if we were able to move over to this, we'd have a seamless transition and be able to start sending these results electronically and be able to have better management of all of our records overall.
And would it allow you to digitize your existing archive to bring into the system? Like, I'm sure that wouldn't be like a day one thing, maybe as a...
Yeah, we can definitely backdate everything. The other thing that is good here is there are currently different systems or different processes for doing complaints, doing inspections, follow-ups, any items. So this system allows us to bring everything into address collated data. So if I went to, say, one main street in town, it's not anything that we license. But for example, if we were looking back at the history of the building, we would be able to then see all the reports, all the history, all the complaints, incidents, or anything else that may have happened at that location, which right now it's looking through multiple Excel sheets and files and trying to pick out the right pieces. So it would be easy use right in front of us when we're looking at the information. And that's really important too when it comes to some of the health inspection work, because when we go out, there's certain parameters around priority, they call them priority items, that if you have fails over multiple inspections, it triggers different results. But without being able to see all that in real time, sometimes it's possible that could go by the wayside. We right now make every effort to make sure it doesn't by viewing inspection records before we go out, but it makes it a lot smoother process. That's the health department side. Emergency management is a smaller side. Right now we have the same kind of, we're tracking via Excel. We don't want to combine the call numbers in with the fire department's call numbers, because that would give a false report essentially of the number of calls overall for service. This would also be usable by the CERT team to track their activities, calls, runs for service, et cetera, and give us a better picture of what's going on in the town, what we're responding to, what the CERT team is responding to, so we can better prepare for anything that's going on in the future. So both of these departments together, the motion that I would make would be for the one-time payment of $13,475 to add the health department and emergency management to the existing Plaistow RMS system.
And what's the time frame for the work to be done?
We haven't set that yet. That would be based on when we get this all squared away. If we get this squared away tonight.
Did they give any idea, like it's a 30-month,
it's
30-day wait?
Yeah, it's going to take approximately 70 hours collective of work on the programming side. It's a little bit simpler than the initial implementation of the police and fire, which took quite some time to get up and running. Now that those systems are up and running, these are add-ons. So I believe the overall implementation is going to be about 3 months from start to finish to when we are actually turning this on. And that obviously includes time for testing and making sure that everything's working correctly.
Is this going to require a new computer for you?
No.
Okay.
Everything's cloud-based, so it's exists on whatever device you're using.
So the real number is what, 13.5?
13,475.
How many man hours per annum do you think this is going to
save on our end? So when we go out, I can kind of walk through the process. When we go out to do an inspection, I spend probably about 30 minutes per inspection doing pre-work. So filling out the inspection reports, pre-filling them so that we get there, we can have a quick and professional process with the customer. Then we go out and do the inspection, have to come back, scan all the papers and write up any reports if there needs to be a report, and then send out any information that we need to afterwards. With the system, we're putting everything electronically, so it's essentially when you go in, their data is pre-populated into a report template that just grabs everything from the inspection and pulls it over into a template. And that allows us to have no pre-time per inspection and really no post-time unless there's significant findings that we need to address later. This also, they take into account all existing Plaistow town regulations and then any state regulations that we are bound to and that they are bound to, including anything like fines and things like that would populate as a result of inspection findings. So that's a whole nother set of things that if we get into, the fines for anything, that takes a significant amount of time just to get all that written, done up correctly and sent out, where this would pull over what we needed, including the reference to the regulations, into a pre-templated form that we do, and we'd be able to pull it all in really quick and get it out.
Do you have anything else?
sorry, one more thing. So the 70 hours would be to just get it up and running. So day one, you'd be starting to use their templates and all that. And the spreadsheets and stuff would be, previous history would be brought in.
Yep.
Probably by you or someone in emergency management to,
So
as you move forward, to just
all of
digitize everything.
Yeah,
Keep it in the record.
and this includes, we have our list of like current licensed entities. They'll take that existing list and pre-populate it into the system for us. So it's
so some
really
of the stuff they'll be able to convert.
They'll be able to convert a lot of it, and it's definitely going to be an easier conversion than, say, the police department had or the fire department had coming out of another system. All of our stuff is in Excel. You can upload from Excel almost any system, including this one. So because we're doing it all in that way, we can move it forward pretty quickly.
All right, I know I'm good.
I'll make a motion to direct the town manager to add the health and emergency management departments to the Plastow RMS system to use ARPA funds in the amount of $13,475 to pay for the cost of adding the two departments.
Second, anyone?
Seconded.
Second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
400.
Just beat them to death so we don't have to pay the contingency.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
No. Curious on the proceedings for if we have procedural stuff for the Board of Health, which is also the Board of Selectmen, in an executive session. So I have one issue that's coming up that I'd like to inform of, but it could potentially fly in somebody's reputation. So,
We would need to enter into non-public.
Yeah.
is that something that we would be able to do? It shouldn't take too long. I'm sorry, I know it's not on the agenda.
Can't wait till the end. Do we have a lot
We can wait till the
more
end.
to go?
Yeah, I don't think we'll be long. I think we can
Yeah, we'll
get
probably
through the
do
rest
it
of
in the
it.
next two, probably, if you can sit tight for about 25.
I can sit tight.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay right there. Not on the agenda, but in the packet tonight is for the board to approve the MOU with the health department with the state of New Hampshire. So this is done every 3 years, and it is time for renewal. So in the packet is that memorandum of understanding and then also a draft motion. But it's basically to set the agreement between the town and the state that says we will be performing all of the health department related as a self-inspecting community. And correct me if I'm wrong or if that's too simple, but that's really what it comes down to. So
Right. There is no exchange of money in this agreement at all. This just kind of lays out the basic framework for our interaction with the state. In other municipalities, the state takes care of health licensing. The town of Plastow, 13 other self-inspecting communities. The self-inspecting communities take
It's
care
really
of.
business as usual, right? The way things
Yes.
are done.
Yeah,
now.
it's just
Yep,
renewing
business as
That's all it is.
our
correct. By signing this, it keeps us business as usual to what we're
We're currently doing.
accustomed to and what we're currently doing.
we're like one of only like a handful of towns or cities in New Hampshire, right? That's
There are 13 self-inspecting communities in New Hampshire as of my last information. There are 5 that work with the state on this MOU. And really what it is we're agreeing to hold ourselves to the same standards that the state's holding everyone else.
We need a motion on that or
Yeah, there's a motion right there.
you guys read it, I'll second it.
I motion to direct the town manager to enter into the memorandum of understanding, the MOU agreement between the state of New Hampshire, Department of Health and Human Services, and the town of Plastow. This agreement allows the Plastow Health Officer to ensure all food service establishments are licensed to operate and are operating in accordance with the New Hampshire laws and proper food sanitation and public health practices. Seconded
Second.
by
Second by Daryl. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
400.
Bill, just
Thank
a
you.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Greg, would any of our other departments benefit from being included in the RMS system where they can all communicate, or is it mostly emergency management, fire, police?
I imagine building inspection would probably be the other one that would be the next to consider making a part of that. So,
Okay, just curious what other departments might benefit from.
No, that's a good,
So,
good thought if we're
Yep.
doing it right. All right. Town hall heating system.
the maintenance supervisor had approached me as far as feeling the need with our current system here in town hall. The system was manufactured back in 2005. There are a number of issues that he is having with it, with valve replacement and repairs that he needs to be done before the winter. But given the age of it, he did solicit 3 quotes in accordance with the town's purchasing policy, and wanted to bring up for discussion on, especially at this point in time, because it is a heating system, in order to, look into replacing it. So, of the 3 quotes, I have one vendor that did not reply at all, and we have 2 other quotes that are fairly close in price. And we do have the money that is available in the trust fund that was established for town buildings. So,
What are we talking for a ballpark for?
roughly $35,000.
And how old's the current system?
It was manufactured in 2005.
So 18.
Installed somewhere right around there. So it's 18 years old.
are we spending a lot of money to maintain it at this point in time?
Yes. My understanding is yes, we are.
So we're starting to throw good money after bad.
Yes.
Okay.
That was going to be my question, is how much it was costing us to maintain them.
Right.
Versus spending money on them.
He was trying to get the detail on that, but he did not hear back from the current vendor. So, but it is, I said, we're looking at some pretty significant items right now that need to be replaced. So
We don't know the ballpark of those, what the items to be replaced are.
I'd be guessing on that.
I'd really, if the board doesn't mind, it's my area of expertise. I would like to take and meet with him and just go over it.
Yeah, fun. Yeah,
Just
so
meet with
as long as we can get it done,
Just
fairly
understand
quickly,
what
right?
the
Because we want
problems
this,
are.
Meet with the maintenance?
Yeah.
yeah, because you want to do it fairly quickly, right? Because you want it, if it has to be replaced, you want it done before the winter.
Right. I mean, I can meet with him tomorrow afternoon.
Did they give any determination on turnaround time? Like, are we going to be waiting for 2 years for a chassis or something like that?
Good thing about boilers is they're pretty readily available.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could be here tomorrow at probably around 1 o'clock.
He's on a different schedule. He's usually in by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. So it
I'll
may
wait
need
till
a little
work.
bit more lead time than the night before.
Oh, then I won't do that though. What's his hours? 3 to what?
I think it's like 3 to noon or 4 to 1, somewhere around there.
All right. I will try everything I can to get here for noontime tomorrow.
Okay, I will let him know.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Everyone good with that?
That works.
Review of the 2022 audit report.
How'd we do, Greg?
Oh, everything's fine. No, I mean, all is good. In your packets, I put in a couple of pieces of information. The full audit report will go up on the website after tonight, but it's a 61 or 2-page document that encompasses the financial statements of the town. In your packets, there's one a letter that's to the members of the board and the town manager, which is a letter of the governance letter, which is basically under governmental accounting standards. It's all the requirements, and it lays out the audit process, if you will. The second packet of information that I put in there, the first page being the independent auditor's report, that is within the financial statements. And that auditor's report is the reason why we hire the auditors, is to give that opinion on the financial statements. So basically, those 2 pages in their long verbiage basically says that we have a clean opinion on the financial statements, which of course is what we strive for. The third page of that document, or it's page 12 out of the audit report, is your balance sheet. So this is where it shows the significant funds, the general fund, the water fund, and then any of the other governmental funds. But it shows down on the left-hand column of numbers, third one up from the bottom, the unassigned fund balance at the town ended the year a little over $2.4 million. So, which is in the ballpark of, what we had estimated, which was what was in town report and the like.
Right.
There was, one bit of a change to that, and that was the recent settlement of the legal issue that was accounted for in these financial statements. The next page, which is labeled begins page 54, 55, 56, and 57, are the information that in effect is where we close the books and the records for the general fund. That first page is your estimated actual revenue statement, shows in the bottom line for the year ended 12/31/2022 that the town had a positive variance of $175,353 when you look at budget versus actual, or estimated and actual revenues for the year. In a couple of the big areas being property taxes and building permits. And you notice there are a couple of large variances, the other federal revenue, the transfers in, and then the bond proceeds. And that's a direct result of the action that the board took to utilize the ARPA money. So we put the bond proceeds as a gross budget, but because we supplemented it in other areas, we didn't estimate those other areas. So that's what the big variance is, in those couple of cases.
I was shocked that motor vehicle registrations were down.
They have been pretty flat the last 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
So
I don't know if it's because of COVID, nobody really going out and buying anything.
Okay.
It was tough getting things, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the price of used cars,
Yeah.
vehicles, just the lead times. Just a guess.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The next couple pages, 55 and 56, are on the expenditure side of things. So it's where, we take the voted budget or the appropriation column, we take what was encumbered from the previous year, and then we have our expenditures, which is anything that was incurred expense-wise during the year. And then we have the small encumbrance into this current year, the $11,515. That carries over to that far right-hand column, the variance, whether it be positive or negative. And you can see at the very bottom on page 56, shows that the town ended the year with just shy of $300,000 of unexpended appropriations. But that you can also look into a couple of main areas, one being the personnel administration, and the second being the police department budget, that because of the vacancies in the police department, which directly relate to those 2 large surpluses, which is $376,000, without the vacancies, our budget would have looked a whole lot different.
How does ARPA play into this as far as having a surplus?
It does not account for it at all.
None at all. Okay.
No. The ARPA money is contained in a different section of the financial statements and the special revenue funds.
Okay.
As it's got its own separate fund, if you will.
Gotcha.
So like I said, that's, the report, the highlights of it. The entire report will be on the website as soon as Beth can help me out with that, and we'll probably get it up there tomorrow. So we'll have the latest and greatest. As far as a management letter, there would be a separate letter in the financial statements. If there were any comments or concerns that needed to be brought to the attention, then there again is not a letter in there detailing any concerns. So it's a clean report.
Great job
Good.
keeping us,
Good.
Excellent.
perfect,
Good job, Greg.
Excellent.
keeping everything in line.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You. All right, we have to approve some non-public minutes, Beth. Let's read if someone wants to make a motion.
A motion to approve the non-public session minutes of July 10th, 2023.
Second?
All right, see if we can have discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0-0.
All of us.
And let's see, we have to approve the consent agenda. This week, on the consent agenda, we had the accounts payable manifest for the week of July 27th, 2023, the BOS draft minutes from July 10th, 2023, and we had 4 appointments to the Community Power Committees: T. Moore, E. Bilo, G. Marchand, W. Proctor, and E. Costa.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda for the meeting of July 24th, 2023.
Second?
Second by Darrell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0-0. All right, Greg, you're up.
All right, let's see. How can we make this as concise as possible? Got word today. We'll start with the highway department. Dan told me today that the new truck should be in by Labor Day. He is working as far as with Charlie Zilch as well on the cemetery expansion. Just an update on that. They're coming out with, since the trees have been cleared and the like, coming up with a new topo map to be able to put a document together so that we can go out to bid, as far as to be able to do the final grading of the cemetery. And then once that is done, we'll be able to lay out the new areas for the plots and the like. Our snowplow vendors are all lined up for next year, all except for one. So
good.
thank you to Dan for, being very proactive with that. It paid off last year, and I have a feeling it will pay off again this year. Have had, numerous meetings with department heads and the like, preparing for budget and CIP, which is coming up, in the not so distant future, very soon. Have had a couple of meetings also with legal, trying to get some of the outstanding items that we have taken care of, and disputes resolved. We are in meeting with the maintenance supervisor too, Mr. Britton. You can ask him about this. We have a couple of other issues. We're still trying to find somebody to come in to look at the town hall sprinkler. If you remember, when we switched over the water system, the pressure being a little bit lower necessitated the need for an upgrade to the system here, which the state approved with the previous vendor. The previous vendor seems to have fallen off the earth and not returning phone calls. So Jim has taken a very extensive list of recommendations from Underwood Engineers, has been trying to track somebody down that will come in to actually do the work on upgrading the sprinkler system. So he does have a meeting set up the first part of August with an engineer to take a look and see if there's maybe some other options as opposed to upgrading all of the pipe. He's also working with, we have consistent leaking of the rubber roof over at the public safety building that is still is ongoing. So we
Is
are
that the
putting
new
together
or the old?
say that again.
The new building or the old building?
The entire building is my understanding.
Okay, because
there's some
the
issues with it.
new building should have a 20-year warranty on it.
And that's what we're looking into.
Okay.
So that's part of what he's working on as well. But just wanted to let the board know that we're working on that. Playground inspection, I'm told, went well, Mr. DeRoche. So all the hard work and the like of all the volunteers looks like it has paid off. Jen, the recreation director, said that it has gone through. There weren't any comments, but she's expecting the final report, but she expects it to be fine. So thank you. Been busy with the IT, with the server changeover. That is still ongoing. In your packet for informational purposes too, I put in a graph for those that want to take a look at where our solar production is, for the year. We started off, pretty good. Was a heck of a month of May, that's for sure. But you can see June, given the weather that we've had, since the 1st of June and the rainy weather. But it still is, producing quite a bit.
Well, it just goes to show you, May was dry.
Yes.
And then you hit June and July.
Yep.
And it never stopped raining.
Exactly. So I'll tell you, Saturday, let me tell you, did it produce on Saturday? So other than that, business as usual.
All right, thank you, Greg. Selectmen's reports, Daryl.
Nope, I haven't got anything.
Jay.
Just wanted to report to add on to what Greg was saying about recreation. They were looking for people to volunteer to spread mulch, so my wife and I went over and helped, and there was a group of volunteers. We had Delaney Landscaping over there helping as well, so it was a good group of people. We were there I didn't get there till 10, but from 8 to 2, there were groups of people there laying mulch,
Nice.
wheelbarrowing. There was one of the guys donated a tractor to move the mulch from the parking lot into the play area. So it was a good team effort.
That's a time saver.
Yes.
Instead of using wheelbarrows?
Yes, and it was hot. So every once in a while, the rain would just shower us, and then the sun would come back out.
Make it a little humid.
Yeah, but I just can't thank all those people enough that came out to do that.
That's
drinks, they brought water, they brought food, we all worked our butts off to get that done. So
perfect.
Thank you to all the volunteers that came out. So
absolutely. Anything else, Jay?
Nope.
Okay.
Had no meetings.
The only meeting I had was just a planning board meeting. That was all I had. It's pretty quiet in the summer so far.
Yeah.
All right. And obviously, the only thing we know, we got the concerts every Wednesday night are ongoing. I know I've gone to a couple of them, very well attended, which is good to see. And the ice cream social works well.
I bet you protected in that too, didn't you?
Not me. I walk in there and it's like, there's 3 different sizes to choose from. I'm like, are you serious? You got to ask me? Of course it's a large.
Of course. And make it 2.
Right. I didn't get to look this way by breathing the air. All right. I think that's it. And we got to go into non-public, correct?
Yes.
So somebody make a motion to go into non-public.
I make a motion, we go into non-public on
And C?
C, right?
C.
See. Second,
Second.
second by
C.
Darrell.
Yeah.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche,
Yes.
Mr. Britton,
Yes.
Mr. Gifford.
Yes.
All right, so that'll close this meeting, then at 7:31, and we won't be coming back from non-public. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Stay cool this week.